All right, sir. So we are live, getting ready for West Coast Wednesday. What's going on, Dwayne?
Hey man, I'm just happy to be here. It's been a day, but today's my Friday, so that's good.
Well,
Tomorrow, last day, work day of the week.
well, that's good. That's good. Today was a day off for me in the middle of the week, which is uncommon here in Los Angeles. I think I told you before we started, we have a large Jewish population, and so today is one of the closing of one of their religious holidays. So typically what a lot of people have done in the past, they would just call in sick, be like, hey, we not coming we not coming in, up and down, teachers, admin, support staff, maybe even students as well.
Hmm.
So every year for the past several years, they've just made this an unassigned day. So
Okay.
um, you know ran some errands and hung out. So we have 2 more days to finish my work week,
All right. All right. Well, good.
and
So
then
everybody, all right, man. I was excited to hear about your son graduating, man. That's a feat. Congratulations.
yeah, man, that's that was a wonderful feat. Over there at over there in Washington, and the thing about it, man, he made the decision to move. And I think I told you, he's playing football, so he decided to move and take his skills somewhere else, and so he picked up and moved and all on his own. So he made some big boy moves, and so we're kind of proud of him. Well, not kind of, we are proud of him. We just told him, as long as they're going to use you to play the football, why don't you use them to get that education? It's
There you
free.
go. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. Yep.
So he's loving it, and we're rooting him on, and all of our other folks. We got some folks popping up in the community saying hi. So let me go
Okay.
ahead and acknowledge my good friend Kevin Cox. What's going on, Kevin? It's good to see you, my man. Hopefully everything is well. Kevin is up there in the Bay Area, so thank you for chiming in, my man.
What's up,
And
Kevin? Okay.
and then my friend Callie, West Side. What's going on, Callie?
We were just talking about her.
Yes, we were. Callie, check your messenger inbox, please, ma'am. That's all I'm gonna say. Check your inbox. Hopefully you're doing good, Chocolate Twist Yoga. Yeah, man. So we're doing well over here in Riley World, just trying to get through it all, and I'm excited about this season of West Coast Wednesday, and I'm so excited that you. She says yes. I'm so excited that you said yeah. I'm ready to do it. So, we gotta
Wait, I've been waiting.
we got a nice little lineup, and it's kind of forcing me to get back into creating content, right? So we've had a lot of things going on over here in Riley World, and so I think this is one way it's gonna kind of settle me down. So
Right. Now, what I need you to do is I need you to write a book about raising kids, because I got a 13-year-old that's coming up, and it looks like you've been doing good over there. So you
man,
need to put things down on paper so you can share with the rest of us.
I know, right? Yeah. So I'm a dad of four.
Oh,
So
I didn't four of them.
yes, I have four. So I have two. My oldest is he's playing football somewhere. My second oldest is playing football somewhere. My third youngest, my third son is playing football here in LA.
Hmm.
He's trying to get a scholarship as well. So we call it the family business.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what we call it. And my daughter, she's a sophomore in high school.
Hmm.
So I can remember one time we had four kids in four different schools at one time,
Wow.
several times. So
And you
you
guys
talking?
survived.
Yeah, we did, absolutely,
Love
absolutely.
it. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So you know what? Writing a book, that would be kind of cool. I just don't know where to begin. I should have taken notes when I was
When
in
you
the
were
thick
doing
of
it, right?
it.
Yeah. Hey man, but
But
the educator in you is, you can just pick it up.
true. But I just just several words of encouragement. You will survive because you got one.
I got one.
You will survive.
There are 6 of us in my family. I don't know how my mom and dad did it.
Hey, they did it. Hey, check it out, Dwayne. Let's continue on the other side. Let me welcome everybody to to West Coast Wednesday. And hey, everyone, what's going on? This is Mr. Riley coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. Hopefully you are doing well wherever you're watching from this Wednesday evening, afternoon, late night. We appreciate you giving us some screen time tonight. And so, man, I'm so excited. It's been a while, and Michelle Lawrence, one of my favorite content creators. She always says, "I'm so excited. I'm so excited." She says, like, "I'm so excited," like 15 times within the first 2 minutes of our broadcast. So no, really, I'm excited to come back with what I call season 2 of West Coast Wednesday. And so thank you. I got some wonderful guests who's going to join me. And even tonight, I have a wonderful guest tonight. He's, Dr. Woode, and we're going to talk to him in a couple of minutes. But let me go ahead and, welcome everybody. I see some folks in the comments here. So let's go ahead and welcome Kevin Cox, just kind of talking with Chocolate Twist Yoga, talking about a taco spot he recommended. Like, okay. They're playing well with each other, and Chocolate Twist Yoga's like, let me think about it, and he's like, oh, maybe it wasn't you, man. I have a couple of taco recommendations. It just depends what you want. And, we could get you squared away, Kevin, when you come back down here in the Los Angeles area. And we see Miss Florence on here. I'm not even going to try to mess up your last name. So, Florence, we thank you for hanging in here. She says, hi, hello. Hello, Dr. Woode. Glad to be here. Hey, we thank you for being here on this West Coast Wednesday. As I said, if you didn't know, I'm an early childhood special educator who's kind of ventured out into live streaming and during the pandemic, and we're just trying to take it to the next level. So I think we're ready. I think we're ready to go. And I have a wonderful guest, Dr. Woode. Instead of me trying to butcher up everything that he does or he's done, let me just go ahead and bring him on. And we're just going to give him, let me get my scenes together here. So let me cut this. And we're just going to welcome Dr. Woode to the show. He's about 2 hours ahead of us, so we're just so happy that he's here. He lives and resides and works in Huntsville, Alabama. So, that's a conversation we can have. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to introduce Dr. Dwain Woode. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, Mr. Riley. What's going on, man? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, listen, we met some time ago back in, I think it was August, right? We both participated in LEDA. And if you don't know what LEDA is live streaming every day in August. And so there was a Facebook group where we met, and we had to comment on, several people's videos every day. And, me and Dwayne were probably around the same time watching each other's videos. I would miss his live, or he would miss his live. And we definitely just going back and forth. And he seemed like a genuine dude, content creator. And I was like, hey, okay. When LEDA is over, I'm gonna hit him up. So we brought him over here to West Coast Wednesday. So again, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thank you, man. Yeah, that was an interesting month, and you're right. We were up late into the night, or trying to get that stuff out. So, but I'm glad that you connected, and glad that we were able to make something happen after LEDA.
Absolutely. So we have a couple of guests, Chocolate Twist Yoga and Kevin are kind of talking about tacos. Now, it's not Taco Tuesday, it's West Coast Wednesday, but it's all good. So I think Kevin is going to plan a trip to come down here in Los Angeles. And, we'll have to definitely give you some taco recommendations when you come out here.
Man, when you come out here. To that anytime.
Absolutely. So let me just ask you real quick before we hop into the show. What was your main takeaway from LEDA and just going live in that particular group?
Man, LEDA, and I was actually in LEDA last year.
Okay.
And it was as a result of LEDA in 2001 that I actually changed the format of what I was doing on my YouTube channel. And so this year, coming back to LEDA, my since I had such a big push forward last year, I said, okay, what can I do this year? And so my big takeaway from Lita was actually a project that I worked on during the month. I did a live every day on my channel, and planning to repurpose that footage of those shows into something else. But this year I wanted to really grow in content creation and being consistent in my format and flow. And so that was the big thing that I took away this year.
Yeah, no, man. You know, and I told you before we went live, man. I love your reels on Facebook and Instagram. I think you're on TikTok as well. And so I just love. And so we're going to kind of get into how your workflow for creating your reels. And I mean, because your stuff is nice. It's nice. I'm like, dang, I'm kind of jealous. You know what I mean? But
I appreciate you, man.
but we'll get into it, man. So just to kind of break the ice a little bit, to kind of get us warmed up vocally. Question for you: Are you a Marvel? Are you Team Marvel or are you Team DC? DC Comics,
And that's
or are you into either one?
I'm into all. I grew up on comic books, man.
Okay.
So in my spare bedroom right now, I've got 10 of those comic boxes full of comics.
Okay.
And at one point I had to stop because my wife said we getting ready to have kids, so you can't spend all the money. No, she didn't say that. But I collected comics as a kid, and so this DC versus Marvel, I can't really say because I was into all of them, And so when I go back and I look at the comics, I mean, I like DC, I like Marvel. I even have some things that people don't like, Alpha Flight, right, which is a Canadian superhero group that's where Wolverine, he was a team member there before he ever became a member over at with the X's. So anyway, you see, you got me started on some stuff right there.
Hey, that's some good stuff, man. I mean, because I had no idea. Now, I was a cursory observer. I didn't collect the comics. I did buy some comics every now and again, but now being an adult, I'm excited. We grew up on Saturday cartoons with Super Friends and the Legion of Doom, and it wasn't too much Marvel stuff going on when we were coming up. But now the adult in me, I mean, I'm just my favorite thing is favorite, I guess, Marvel character would be Black Panther.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. Wakanda forever, right?
That's right.
But yeah, man. So yeah, it's just wonderful how these comics have turned into big businesses now for Disney and for all these movie companies. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. I tell my son about, so I lived in Brooklyn, and down the street around the corner from where we lived, there was this shop and they sold comic books. And so I'd go in there and the guy would save a comic book for me. And I told him, I said, we have to wait until the next issue came out to find out what happened. And so he sits down now and he watches, he binges or whatever. Hey, do you remember this one? It was from the cartoon. I think it was in the cartoon, Space Ghost.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, it's just fascinating how, the commercialization of everything that we watched as kids has made mega money, and still continuing to make mega dollars, both DC and Marvel. So it's just a wonderful thing. And I can't wait to a Black Panther 2 or Wakanda Forever comes out. So that's going to be a wonderful thing.
Looking forward to it, man.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop in here and Dwain, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. If you're new to the show, just know that I'm an early childhood special educator here in the Los Angeles area. The students in my class are 3 to 5 years old, and they're on the autism spectrum. But I'm also trying to create content for my teacher friends and also for my parents as well, or fellow educators. And so that's a little bit about me. And this West Coast Wednesday is an outlet for me to kind of expose other people who are in our community who are actually doing things. And so Dr. Woode, he's here doing this thing. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Sure, man. First of all, once again, thank you so much for having me on. This is a pleasure. I've been watching your stuff and really like, and I love that we connected during LEDA, and no idea about that this was going to happen, but yeah. So I'm an endocrinologist, and I tell people I'm a hormone doctor, right? So everything hormone, everything from low testosterone, osteoporosis, thyroid. The hormone that most people know of course, is insulin. So by virtue of that, I do a lot of diabetes, which is a huge issue around the country and around the world. Almost 500 million people who have diabetes around the world. So we take care of not all of those, but some of those folks. I am passionate about education, and in fact, if you watch my content, if you watch my show, all that I talk about has 3 words: education, empowerment, and encouragement. And so those are the things that I want to do, because so many times we find that when people come in for disease processes, and we talk to people about, this is a lifestyle disease, or, I want to get into all of that right now, but we forget that that person is living a life. And sometimes the reason their disease is not controlled is not because they don't want to. Like, they don't wake up every day say, well, I'm going to do everything to make my disease worse. But they wake up every day and life happens. And so their disease is worse. And so being able to give them education about some things they can do in their daily life, empowering them to make changes, and then encouraging them along the way, that's what I'm all about.
Got you, man. I got a couple of questions about the diabetes and being pre-diabetic and all this stuff, but we'll hop in that. We'll hop in that a little bit later. So just kind of tell us a little bit about your childhood, man. What kind of made you want to go into endocrinology? Hopefully I said that correctly. What kind of inspired you to become a doctor?
Wow, that is a huge one. In fact, I never wanted to be a doctor.
Wow.
Some people say they wake up and they knew that that's what they were going to do. That wasn't me. In fact, I went to school to be a pastor.
Okay.
So I started college, got all the way through junior year in theology, and then had an experience that really kind of changed me. And that's probably for a whole nother conversation. But then changed my major to math and computer science. So once again, still not medicine, right?
Sure.
Went to graduate school in a PhD program, 3 years in the program in computer science, and then decided, no, I'm not doing this.
Wow.
So you can imagine coming home one day, because I was married at the time, and saying to my wife, honey, guess what? Anyway, so we changed, and I started teaching at a small school in Birmingham. You may know Miles College.
Okay.
I'm teaching at Miles, and my wife is in medical school at the time. So she wanted to be a doctor. So she's studying for this, and I'm teaching computers, right? Because I had enough hours at graduate level to teach computers. And one day, somebody said to me, hey, so what are you going to do with your life?
You're like, I'm doing it. I'm teaching math and
I'm teaching, and I'm coming home. I'm watching TV, hanging out, watching movies. And one day I'm talking to someone. They said, hey, have you ever thought about medicine? And I said, well, not really. And they said, you should think about it. Long story short, I ended up applying, taking all the exams, getting into medical school, and had a hard time, man. When I say hard time in medical school, it was tough, but I struggled, made it through, and became an endocrinologist. And now I think about the path that I could have taken, and I can't imagine having done anything else. But the beauty of it is the stuff that I learned in all those other careers, guess where I'm using them right now?
Absolutely. Okay, so I just gotta hit this real quick. Okay, because we need to stop and pause because that's a whole bunch right there to kind of digest. Okay, so you're in school. You're
I'm in
working on your
school.
BA.
Right.
You earn your BA in.
Well, I finished. So when I changed my major, I finished with a minor in religion.
Okay.
I have a BA in math,
Okay.
and I have a BS in computer science.
Okay. So you got a BA. Okay, so you're good, math and science, and you're good. You're about to do the religion thing. Pastor Woode, right?
Reverend Doctor.
Reverend Doctor, good Reverend Pastor Doctor.
You know how we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 million names. Okay, so you're doing things, and then now you're teaching math and computers.
Right. So teaching math and computer. Actually, computers. I was teaching computers at Miles College.
Okay. So
and running their computer lab.
Okay. Now, how old were you when this took place?
Let's see. I got married at 24. So I'm 27, maybe.
Okay.
When this transition is happening.
Okay, so you still got some time because you haven't had kids yet, or have you? Have you started having? Okay.
No kids yet.
Okay, cool. So you're working at meals, doing your thing, and then someone challenges you and asks you, "What are you going to do
with your life?"
With your life?
Yeah.
As if you weren't already doing things with your life.
Right. I thought I was, right? I was like, hey, this is pretty sweet because, I wasn't making a lot of money, by the way. Let me say that. Because,
right.
I wasn't making a lot of money. So that was, hey, I need to do something else. But at the time, I was pretty, I think, content doing what I was doing.
You were happy. You're like, okay, I'm teaching, I'm enlightening the minds of our young people.
Right.
And then someone
challenges
you.
So it was a good, it was a good place to be.
Wow. So then you transition over to the medical side.
The medical side.
Now, what was that process like? You going from teaching computers to like working with, dead bodies in medical school and exams and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, I tell people and medicine or medical school, the content in medical school is not difficult. So let me say that first, okay? Or I shouldn't say it's not difficult. It's not as difficult as other things that you could do.
Okay.
Like the guys who do physics, right? And all that, particle theory. And so those guys, I mean, they're doing lots of brain stuff. So in medicine, it is some of that, but the problem in medicine is that there's so much material, right? So I come from a background, so theology, where you're talking prose, right? So you put some stories together, you read the Bible, God inspires you, you pray, you're doing good work and you're creating, right? So once again, know that creation is there. So you're creating content, if you will. That's, as we say, inspired by the Father above. In math, you can give me X and I reason my way to Y.
Sure.
But you get to med school and they say, here are these 5 books, go memorize. There's no reasoning. It's just, you got to know it. And because my background wasn't that, it was hard for me. And I didn't realize at the time, but I have, and it's not, they've tried to diagnose it and did studies on me, but it's not an official reading deficit or so forth. But it does take me a lot of time to process and assimilate. So now I get to med school and I've got this volume of stuff. So med school for me was hard
Yeah.
And that's not to discourage anybody from doing it, but it was tough for me, man.
Got you. Got you. So what helped you get through that process? You talked about your, obviously you're a man of faith since you were going to be, good Reverend Pastor Dr. Dr. Woode. So obviously you have that background, but what kind of, and you also talked about your wife going through medical school. Was she an asset for you as you went through this process from becoming a math and computer teacher over into, going to med school?
Well, I'll tell you, yes, right? So there are some things that I can recite verbatim right now that my wife taught me. So a lot of things that I remember were things that I was having trouble with, where she sat down with me and she said, hey, let's think about it this way.
Sure.
Right. So that was huge. I had some people along the way that from church or even from the university that kind of pushed me. In fact, and this is a funny part of the medical school story. I was taking a pathology exam, and so you go through the first 2 years of school, and then you after the first 2 years you get into your clinical. So you go to the hospital and you now start seeing patients. So the first 2 years just book work, class work, taking exams, and I'm sitting. So my grandfather passed my first year of medical school, and I was taking a physiology class when he passed, and it really shook me. So I failed the class, and failing med school class is huge, right? So because there's not another class that you just come back and redo it. So I had to go down to LSU in New Orleans to take this class for the summer. So I took the class for the summer. I come back to school, so it's now second year, and I'm going through, and we're in this pathology class, and there's so much material, man, and I could not get it, right? And so I'm sitting one day taking an exam, and I thought to myself, I said, you know what? I used to be watching TV right now. I used to be at work. I used to be, right? And so I'm going through my head, and I got up, I turned my paper in, and I left. Not left the class, but left school. Mm-hmm. And the guy who was running the class saw me on campus, because now I have a background in computers, and he gave me a job in his lab. So this is the guy who I just basically told I'm not coming to your class anymore. And so he gave me a job in his classroom or in his lab, and to do computers. And so I did computers, and then finally he was like, okay, yeah, you're going back to school now. You're going back to medical school. So anyway, so along the way, there were people who I encountered that pushed me, said, no, if this is what you want, I know it's hard, I know it's tough, but you got to get in there and do this.
Absolutely. No, and you know what? We all need those people during different phases of our life, and especially, medical school is a grueling process, right? And, to your point, it's not like you can go back and be like, all right, I'll just pick up this class again. It's like, nah, you're in the cohort of folks, I'm sure, and you need to stay with that cohort so that you guys can finish and do what you need to do. And so, everyone needs to have those folks who got your back, right? I know in cheer, my daughter cheers, and there's a cheer, something like, who got your back? I got your back. Or maybe the football players, right? They're talking about, who got your back, right? Because they're all on the field. They have a common goal. And so if your friends realize what your goal is, friends or close family members, they realize what your goal is, they're going to help hold your arms up to help you get through, and make it through this process. And obviously you did, because, you're kind of gifted in 3 different areas: metabolism, diabetes, and endocrinology. So, let's kind of dissect that thing right there. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, diabetes, we know, right? We know it runs rampant. I have family members who've had diabetes, who have diabetes, folks are being pre-diabetic, right? Trying to get that. But the other two, how can you speak to just helping folks in our community with diabetes and metabolism and endocrinology? I'm stumbling over here with the word. What can you do to help us out, Dr. Woode? We need your help.
Man, I'm going to tell you that I can't tell you the number of people, before we even get into those words, I can't tell you the number of people who show up in the office who've been diabetic, 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 years sometimes, who have a poor understanding of diabetes, right? And it's not because they are not interested in learning, but we do such a poor job of explaining. It's, man, so when I was in medical school, there were things I learned, right? And you went through the book and you plowed through it and you got it and you took your exam. But when I got into residency and when I was studying for exams, I ran into a couple of guys who helped me with exams. When those guys explained something to me, it was like a light bulb went on. I was like, is that what the book was trying to say? Are you kidding me? I spent an entire semester and you're telling me this in like 2 minutes?
Yeah, they gave you they gave you the Cliff Notes version.
The Cliff Notes version. I was like, why didn't somebody back then tell me that? Right? So the same thing that we find when people come and they're talking about diabetes, we've made all these structures and these to-do lists and don't do lists and eat lists and don't eat lists. But we haven't really explained to people what diabetes is and how they interact with it. And I'll tell you, for most of us, if you explain something to me and I can make decisions on my own, I'm much better at doing that. But if every time I come to you, you're like, okay, do this and go away. And I come back next time, it's okay, this is step number 2. And this is step number 3. Well, why don't you just tell me the whole 12 steps and, let's figure out how to do it. So anyway, that's the first thing. So for diabetes, metabolism, and for the things in endocrinology, education. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, that we find a way to make the light bulb go on. Because when the light bulb goes on for somebody,
yeah,
we got them. And their lives change, right? For forever. And so metabolism really is how the body works. It is things like how do we metabolize certain chemicals, processes, components. Weight is a part of metabolism, blood pressure, cholesterol, all those things. Diabetes, obviously, you just talked about, and we have a misunderstanding of diabetes as well. And then endocrinology fits into all of those because the hormones that are in our body are so powerful. And I tell everybody this example. We talk about weight and we say, if you eat better and exercise, then the weight is better. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to argue with people who talk about that, but let me give you an example. If you take a woman and she gets pregnant today, mm-hmm. and you come back in a day or two and you weigh her weight has gone up despite the fact that she hasn't eaten anymore. She hasn't done anything differently. What made that happen? The thing that made that happen is that little fetus that's being formed mm-hmm. Her body is producing hormones.
Sure.
And those hormones are causing the weight to go up. So there are so many things other than the food. Now, I mean, the food, we got to talk about that as well. But we don't do a good job of explaining things to people. And so sometimes they kind of throw their hands up and like, okay, well, this is not going to work for me. So.
Got you. Now,
I don't know if that answers your question, but
I do have a follow-up because we were talking about tacos earlier. Kevin Cox and Chocolate Twist Yoga were talking about tacos, and so I just kind of thought about since you said food, they kind of made me start craving tacos on West Coast Wednesday, but it's not Taco Tuesday. But anyway, okay, so maybe another question would be, as someone from the medical field, because you have a center in Huntsville, so you're kind of located in Huntsville, Alabama, correct?
Yeah, we're in Huntsville, Alabama, North Central Alabama, and we have 2 practices actually: Diabetes and Endocrine Wellness Center, okay, which is our traditional diabetes endocrinology practice.
Okay,
and then we also have a practice called The Lighter Way, which specializes in weight management.
Got you. So you're really about educating the community about all of these 3 different facets, that we were talking about: endocrinology, metabolism, and diabetes.
Correct.
Got you. Got you. Yeah. See, you know, that's good that you kind of started off, you know, in the teaching profession, even though it was computers and math, you still have that as a background. And not only do you want to, you know, you're not just holding it to yourself, you're making sure that people in your community are equipped with the tools to make their lives a little bit better.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, when I changed my major early on, and even years later, right? I looked back and thought I had made a mistake, and I regretted it. And for a long time, I thought that was the reason that I was having trouble. For instance, in medical school, right? You're not supposed to be here. You know, that whole process that we go through.
Sure.
But looking back, all of the things that I learned in every phase that I went through, I'm using right now. All of it. I mean, the teaching, the computers, I mean, all of it is coming to play as I now try to educate, empower, and encourage people to take charge of their health and their lives.
Got you. No, that's powerful, man. That's very, very powerful. So, you know, I have a question here. You know, if we could just kind of take away one of those areas and maybe ask a couple of questions about one of those areas. And the area that I'm thinking about, you know, because like I said, you know, I have folks who have dealt with diabetes and it kind of runs in my family. So I have a diabetes question for you. Okay. So what is the biggest problem you see trying to fight diabetes in our community? And I know there can be a gang of answers, but what is something that we could really, because you talked about education. So, you know, by me, you know, let's just use myself, right? I'm about 6 feet, 250. And I'm in relatively good health. I have my physical today. Doctors, you know, did lab work and all that kind of good stuff. Blood pressure was fine. But you know, man, those Chick-fil-A sweet teas be calling my name.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm an older dude. I'm 53. And I know that I need to be watching what I eat and what I drink. But man, them sweet teas, light on the ice, be calling my name. What can a brother do? You know, what can a brother do to, you know, and I know exercise and what are some other strategies that, you know, a brother like me can kind of can do to stay away from falling in that diabetic side of life?
Right. So the first thing to realize and to understand is that diabetes is not a sugar problem. Okay, let's start there.
Okay.
So everybody, every time we talk.
Wait, can you say that one more time for the folks in the back?
Right. So diabetes is not a sugar problem, right? The high blood sugar is a symptom of the problem.
Okay.
And the problem is that we have an insulin, and I'm you know, you don't have to remember that word, but insulin that doesn't work well. Okay. And there are so many other things in the body that can cause insulin levels to go up. Now, food, sure, is one of them, right? But if we think about the way the body works, and I kind of tell people to think about the body like a car, right? So we go to the gas station, we put gas in, and we drive that car until we need to fill up again. And so gas is the energy in the body or energy in the car. So our bodies takes food and it converts it. And I'm going to just talk about sugar, glucose, right? That's what it converts it to. Everything that you eat has the purpose of making your body have energy so it can do what it needs to do, right? So there are some things that will cause blood sugars to go up that have nothing to do with food. For example, if you don't sleep well one night, the next day your body has to keep you awake, keep you alert, right? You can't be nodding off at work. So it gives you energy. What did we say energy was in the body? Sugar.
Yeah.
So if I checked your blood sugar the day after you didn't sleep well, the blood sugar is higher. And we don't talk about it. So stress and anxiety and pain and inflammation. So all of those things will do that. Now let's go about the iced tea. Let's go to the iced tea, right? So the question that we have to ask, right? And you don't have to answer this question, is why does the IC call us? And it's one of three different reasons. Number one, it is what we are used to. We have patterned that. It's kind of like James, suppose I'm sitting with my family right now and we've just finished eating, right? And say you roll up, you call me, hey man, Dwayne, I'm in town. Let's go hang out. One of the first things we're going to do?
Get some food.
You're gonna eat. Right? You're going to say, but wait a minute, I just finished eating. I've been with my family. We ate. I'm not hungry.
Right.
But we're going to go down to Panera. We're going to go down to Starbucks. We're going to go out somewhere. And I might get a muffin, get one of those, venti shit, whatever they have over there. and we're going to eat. So we have conditioned ourselves to do that. And so a lot of our functions surround food. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that the food has an effect on us. Mm-hmm. And you said the right thing. You said it's calling you, right? So it's not just that we've been accustomed to it, that we've cultured ourselves to do that, but there are things in our body that the food that we eat affects. For instance, there are hormones, that make you hungry or make you, say you're not hungry anymore. And the food that we eat affects those to the point. And it's almost like, I'm gonna say it. It's almost like somebody's holding a gun to your head and saying, you better eat this or else.
Yeah.
The sweet tea. And the pull that gives is huge. And sometimes we misunderstand that, right? And then the last thing is that we are eating because of our emotional state. Right? When we're tired, we eat. Exactly. For example, I'm sitting up here, right? And I'm doing my thing because I told you I work late at night. You know what I do to keep me up?
What's that?
I eat.
Yeah.
I'm the endocrinologist, James. I'm the endocrinologist.
Yeah.
But we eat. And so we're upset and we're tired and all those things we eat. So I think addressing those issues, not taking James's sweet tea away, but what are the things that are causing him to do that? If we address those issues, he can still have some sweet tea, but he doesn't have to have as much because we've addressed it. I know that was a long answer. So
no, that's good. That's good. I mean, for me, my takeaway just from your response is just doing what we do in moderation, right? I can't always, when I'm passing Chick-fil-A, I can't always make a beeline over there because number one, it's really not good for me. Now, if I have one every now and again, okay, cool. But then there's some things that I need to do to kind of balance that thing out. So I'm not just always going, because I'm always, I live near a Chick-fil-A, and no matter where I go, my kids like Chick-fil-A, and and not only Chick-fil-A, there's other places, that we kind of frequent besides home, right? We do have home cooked meals. Let me just make sure if you watch it, we do eat over here in Riley World, right? My wife cooks, I cook, not as much as I used to. Maybe that'll change. I know my wife will be happy to hear that, but yeah. So, for me, just the takeaway would be, do what you do in moderation so that way you're not creating, you're not, putting yourself in a way that you're kind of, as we say, pre-diabetic, or, you're going to get in that way and down the line, you're going to, have something happen to your body. So, so no, that's good. That's good. Let me see where we are. Okay, so we're about 43 minutes in, and I kind of wanted to, keep my West Coast Wednesdays to about an hour and 10. I know, Dr. Woode, we're going to have to come back and do this again. But no, because I haven't even got into some of the stuff that I really wanted to, that was just kind of more a way of intro and just, having folks understand where you're coming from as it relates to, endocrinology, metabolism, and diabetes. Now, Callie is in the, she's still watching. Thank you, Callie, for still watching. She brought up a question. Let me just pop it in right here. Her question is, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting? I know that's a big
Callie,
craze.
Callie, I'm excited you asked that question. Well, short answer is I love it. Okay. That's the shortest answer I can give. We talked a little bit ago about the calling that happens with the food that we eat.
Yeah.
And the calling happens because every time we eat something that has carbs, high carbs, processed carbs, the body produces insulin. And insulin has two effects. One, it makes you hungry. And two, it helps to put on weight. And intermittent fasting combats both of those. So if we intermittent fast, we decrease our insulin. When we decrease our insulin, it decreases our cravings, for one.
Got you.
So that's the shortest answer I can give. I'm going to stop right there.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully, Kyle, if you're still watching, hopefully that kind of answers. And then, if it's not the answer you want, go ahead and ask a follow-up question.
Sure.
Because I know intermittent fasting is a big thing. There's, keto-friendly diets or lifestyle change or whatever. So, I'm not into keto. I just kind of like what I like, but I know that I need to do some things to kind of drop some pounds, just so that I can live a little bit longer and not have to worry about being, like we talked about, pre-diabetic or whatever. So, I know it's a lifestyle change, and it's hard because we get accustomed to eating the kinds of food that we eat, right, or drink. And you want
to hear a secret?
Go ahead. Tell us. Hold on. Okay, Dwayne has a secret for us, everyone. Let me go ahead and give you the full screen so that you can tell us a secret. Go ahead, Dr. Woode.
So here's the secret, guys. All diets work.
Okay.
All diets work if they fit into your schedule and into your life.
There you go. He said all diets work.
All diets work. All of them. In fact, if I come up, James, let's come up with a diet right now. Let's see. What can we do? We can decide.
Wait, hold on.
People.
Hold on. Let's call it the West Coast Wednesday diet.
The West Coast Wednesday diet. Okay. So here's the West Coast Wednesday diet. Every morning, you're going to get up and you're going to walk outside. And you're going to find a tree that has some bark on it. And you're going to lick the bark.
Well,
and drink some water.
Well, maybe not West Coast Wednesday. But okay, we'll go ahead.
Here's the thing, right? So here's the thing. If we tell 100 people to do that, 30 of them are going to lose weight.
Absolutely. Okay.
That's the statistic. 30% of every person who tries anything gets a benefit.
Got you. Callie says,
we're going to go outside and lick a bark. Sorry. Yeah.
Let me see. She says, if has been, hold on, let me put that back up there. Only thing I've been able to do that, I can make it part of my lifestyle. Okay. Oh, intermittent fasting has been, okay. Okay. So she was just saying intermittent fasting. I was like, IF. I got you. Intermittent fasting has been the only thing that she's made a part of her lifestyle. I got you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And Callie, I'm glad. You know why? It's the one that I love? Because it really fits into a lot of people's lifestyles, right? Because most of us will fast for at least 8 hours, right? While we're sleeping.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it takes just minimal adjustments to kind of fit it even more into a lifestyle. A lot of people will do the 18 and the 16 and 8 fasting and eating. But with Callie, I'm so excited that you've been able to incorporate that into your life.
Now, she also says she has one more question for you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
She says, what can 50-ish women do to mitigate belly fat other than running?
Ooh. Now, so that question is interesting. And Mr. Riley, you're going to have to talk to the Mrs. Dr. Woode, because Mrs. Dr. Woode has a program that she does for women specifically.
Okay.
Right. In terms of metabolism and weight and so forth. So that's a good one. Very good, Callie. And it can be challenging, right? So for us guys, we lose weight faster and easier than women.
Mm-hmm.
And there are hormonal changes as we age, as we get into that middle age for women that we're combating. So it's not just that, hey, you're out there eating all, and from what I hear, I was watching the show. I mean, you jog, you run, you climb, whatever you do a bunch of stuff. So
Dwayne, she does like 85 million activities in one day.
So it can be challenging and frustrating. So that would be a good conversation to have with my wife.
Absolutely. So I'm glad you kind of brought that because that's going to help move the conversation along. So I know we were talking the pre-show, and you were talking about we were actually talking about mics, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. But you mentioned that she's also a doctor, and sometimes she hops in on your shows. Just kind of talk about what do you guys talk about together, and then we'll after that we'll kind of talk about just some of the content and the gear and why you chose to become a doctor content creator.
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, good question. So when my wife comes on the show, she brings her expertise in weight management and lifestyle change. So the conversations that we have are a lot of mindset change. We talk about ways to help maintain some of the things that we need to maintain to be able to lose weight.
Got you.
So when we have those shows, that's what we are kind of focusing on. And she was a recurrent guest on mine. We used to do it the end of the month. The last week of the month she would come on. We got to get back to that in this new season.
Got you. So let me, since we're talking about your content, your show, what is the name? So do you actually have a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel, Dwain Woode MD.
Okay.
That's Dwain Woode MD.
Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll pop that in. I'll have a chance to pop that in the chat. Folks, go check out Dr. Woode's, YouTube channel. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. And, give him some love. And I'm sure he has a lot of good content. And so we're going to hop over and we're going to kind of finish up the rest of the conversation. We're going to, actually, I told him I'm a geek out over some of the stuff. And so if you're a content geek, and just kind of, want to know what he uses. I mean, because, if you look at his setup, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. And so, man, no, that was some good heavy stuff, man, in terms of endocrinology, metabolism and diabetes. We're going to definitely have to, come back and talk about that. All right. So
sure.
I just want to change the focus of the rest of the interview. So what made you get into content? Because like I said, we found each other on Lita, and you were pretty dope with your setup, and I was just like, okay, he's doing some stuff. I want to hang out with him. So what kind of made you get into content creation?
Man, it all goes back to what I was talking about. So we were in our office, and I would go into a room and I would say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And one day, I think it may have been my wife. We were talking about how do we get better at what we do? And she said, well, it would be nice to tape that speech or whatever it is. And so the patient would watch it maybe before they came in or before they're at home in preparation for their visit, so that when they come in, the time is not spent anymore going over that stuff. It's okay, how do we spend time specifically talking about the issues that you have? And so we played around with that for a while, and then boom, pandemic happened. And so I'm hanging around. I'm like, man, I need to, because we're doing virtual video stuff now. It's like, man, it would be nice to have some stuff when I'm talking to a patient, I can direct them. Hey, go look at this video, and then we'll talk about this. And so I started doing that, and loved it, and the patients liked it. And then, like I said, I ran into Lita, and they're like, and then I got the live show, and so everything started with this idea of education. Yeah,
no, that seems to be the foundation of who you are, and so it's a theme, through going through the ministerial process, going through being a math and science major, right? Focusing in on computers, then going through med school, and now, content. I mean, content now is like, content is king. It really is, because just about everybody has some piece of content. You look at all these shows on the internet or on the cable, whatever. All of them have some kind of tie into, TikTok advertisements, all that kind of good stuff. So, it's all about reaching the people and providing information and educating them about different topics. So, I'm glad that you're on here and you decided to share your talent, being a doctor with other folks, because you're right. If they kind of look at a video, maybe, they're not always trying to, tap into you personally, but, maybe you have some resources online that they can kind of check out because they trust you. You're their doctor, and you have some, some resources that they can kind of look up and, wait to kind of talk to you in person or, through an appointment. Okay. So, very, very good. So just kind of tell us about, what you're using to live stream. If you're not into live streaming, you might not find this too interesting, but if you're a content creator, we're gonna kind of dig into some of the workflow from Dr. Woode. So kind of tell us what you're using, maybe your camera. I know that you have a pod mic right there. So just kind of walk us through your studio, if you will, as much as you can, from what we see in the background.
Well, I am, excuse me, my favorite platform and for live streaming is Ecamm.
Absolutely.
Now, I like we talked about before, I did use StreamYard for the very first few that I have, and I've had for StreamYard as a second source for a while. But my main platform is Ecamm, and I love it. I do my videos live. I do my recorded videos as well. I'm using a ZVE10, which is what you're seeing me through right now. I'm using a pod mic. I was telling James earlier that I have a, and I'm almost ashamed to say it.
MV?
So sure, if you guys are out there watching, don't get on me, okay? But I was using this, and I listened to myself on the shows that I did it on, and I didn't really like the way I sounded. And so I went out, I forgot who I was listening to, and they said, oh, the Rode pod mic. So I went out and I got the pod mic, and I really like this better. I mean, it for me, it gives me almost like a brighter sound in my voice. And that, yeah, so brighter sound in my voice. So that's what I'm using here. I use an iMac, and I want to get an M. Anyway, I won't talk about that.
You want to get an M1 or M2? I know what you're talking about. You can go ahead and say it. Speak it into existence.
I want to get an M2.
Okay.
I want to get an M2. But anyway, so this is what I have, and I love it. It's been the best thing that I've done. I do have, I don't have the ability right now to switch everything to show you, but I have a Godox SL60 that's up here. I have a teleprompter.
So hold on. Let me just help walk you through. So content creators, we always kind of share some of the same things because it's been proven that it works. So when he's talking about the camera, the EVE10, right? That's what you said you have. So that's a Sony camera. It's a digital camera that is made popular by content creators, and it's wonderful to use as a regular handheld camera, but it's also great for a streaming camera as well. So, and then he talked about the pod mic, which is what you see right there. That's a pod mic. It's made by Rode. So if that's what you like, that's what he has. And then he's talking about the Godox. The Godox is the light. That's my main source. I have it right here. He has one as well. So it's kind of good to hear that we have similar things going on, right? In our studio setup. So, okay. All right, continue, Dr. Woode. Go ahead.
And then on my desk, I have, of course, my stream deck, and then my Rodecaster Pro.
Absolutely. So,
and that's the minimum of what I've got some other things hanging around here, but
so here's the thing. You have just about everything I have. I have a slightly different camera. I have the Canon M50, the first one that came out, and I do have my Stream Deck. I don't have a Rodecaster Pro. That's something I'm working towards getting, but I've been doing well without it. But I do have as an audio interface, I have a Zoom H6.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of working in place of the Rodecaster Pro. At some point, I'll get on your level and get one of those.
Now,
Um,
let me jump in and just say this for people who are out there who are watching, who may be considering, right, jumping into the creator space. You don't need all of this.
right.
Okay. So that's let me just say that you don't need all of this. Start with what you got, and then you can always change.
Absolutely. Hey, India Delgado, it's good to see you on here. Thank you for joining in, and the rest of you. So we're about an hour in, and you're
No, you gotta do it.
I got you're oh gosh. So it's funny. It's funny because when you're watching other people's live shows, and then they pop on yours, you kind of want to pay them some respect. So that's what we're doing with India, and some of the other content creators who are watching. So, and that's one thing. If you're a content creator, you're gonna make sure that you shout yourself out on someone else's show. So every time I hop in a show, my thing is West Coast, right? India's tagline is your. So Dwayne, do you have a famous saying that you kind of drop in the comments and let people know that you're in the house?
Man, I'm working on it, but is that educating, encouraging, empowering?
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. And that's kind of like a little motto or a mission. And I'm sure that's probably part of your mission statement if you have one, or vision statement.
Yep, it is.
Absolutely. So no, that's something that you can drop. Absolutely. Love you too. Over there on the East Coast. We're coming live from the West Coast. She's over there on the East Coast. Dr. Woode is over in the central.
Mid coast.
Mid coast. Oh man. Okay, so let's go ahead and I kind of you kind of talked about what you're using, and I mentioned earlier that I love just how you set up your reels. I mean, and so let me just pop this in now. We might not be able to hear it, but we can actually see the goodness. Let me close this messenger message out, and then we can see the goodness that we're here we go. Okay, look at my man right here. That's one of your reels. Now, if I play it, you're probably not going to hear it, but I'm just look at how well it's your reel is produced. If I can get my cursor over here, where are you? Let me see. I think I lost. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's over here already. All right, so let me just play it, and this is another reason for you to go live or find Dr. Woode's content, Dwain Woode. Follow him on Facebook, and just kind of walk us through your tech setup here. I mean, this is so nice. You got the mic right there. Your lighting is great. You're in focus. Just kind of talk about your workflow as you create your reels for your content.
Right. So let me give a shout out here real quick. So I hired a consultant and an editor. I hired him on Labor Day. We were down at the beach, and Lita had ended, and my son, 13 years old, said, "Daddy, I can help you." And we hired him on the spot.
So wait. Hold on. I'm gonna have to come over here and just drop this real quick. You said, I'm just making sure I heard what you said. Yep. You said you were at the beach with your son.
13 years old.
13-year-old son says, "Hey, Dad, I can make your content a little bit better."
Yep.
And you hired him on the spot.
On the spot.
Whoa. Okay. So when he said he hired somebody, I'm thinking you went you hired, somebody who's like older dude who's, man, you hired your son.
I hired my son.
Wow.
And he looked at my channel a week after I hired him, and he said, because we talked about how much he was going to get paid, and he said, "Hey, Daddy, do you realize that since I took over, your viewers have gone up by 500%?"
Man.
He said, "So what are we gonna do with my salary?"
Wow.
So dude, you're just here for a week. You've just been here for a week, and you already want to negotiate what you're getting paid.
He was like, "Look, He's like, look, Dad, you need to pay me. He's like, show me the money.
Show me the money.
He
Show
was
me the
like
money.
Jerry Maguire. Show Tom Cruise. Show me the money.
Show me the
Man,
money.
that's awesome. Your
So,
13-year-old
so
son
I'm
did this.
13 years old. So I'm telling him, I said, hey, this is what I want to do, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm actually, well, we're into September at this point, and so we're talking about what we're going to do in September. And I had ideas about what I was going to do. He's like, no, this is what I need you to do. He said, just pick a thing. You don't have to tell them everything about the whole thing in the video, Daddy. Just because what am I trying to do, right? I'm trying to get every piece of information about diabetes in them 60 seconds. And he's like, no. He said, nobody's going to listen to that. Nobody wants to hear that. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're getting through the month of September, and I'm now telling him what I'm going to do for October. And he said, no, that's not what we're going to do. So he comes up with what the plan is. And I'll tell you, I deviated from the plan one day already, and he got on me. And he said, see, that's why that didn't work, because you didn't follow the plan. So anyway, so I'm back on his plan for the rest of the month.
Man,
So it's been fun. And you I don't know if you noticed there, when I do my live show, I'm one of the bearded, bald-headed guys, but in the reels, we're wearing hats, and so I got a hat for each reel that I'm doing.
I've
and
noticed.
I got a bunch of hats that are stuck up over there. That was kind of collaboration with him. He's like, hey, we need to find something, So anyway, so we did that. And in terms of the content itself, my very first ones that I was doing in terms of the reels, it was just me kind of just sitting there, kind of going through the information. And he edited a couple of things, and so right now I am on his plan. Let me say that.
That's what's up. India says that's amazing. Love the entrepreneurial spirit in him. Man, no, that's super dope. So two things. I'm gonna have to get some merch. I'm gonna have to get some merch where I can send you a West Coast Wednesday hat or something, and then or a LA hat. I don't know, something. And then, man, I mean, that's cool that your 13-year-old son has a plan and you deviated from it, but you realize your mistake, and now you're gonna stay on his path and do what you need to do. No, your reels, and your reels are dope. I just have to say that as a content
Thanks,
creator,
man. I appreciate that.
is dope and simple and kind of inspiring me, because people tend to want to fit a whole bunch of information in 60 seconds.
Yep.
And you really can't. You just need to just give them the main course, and that's it.
Yep.
Or
he actually told me that he wants me to cut it down from 60 seconds, actually. So I haven't achieved that yet. So I'm working on that.
Right. Or, because I've seen a lot of people where they kind of introduce a topic, and then they'll point people to go to their website, for more information, for more details or whatever. So man, your stuff is tight. And so when I grow up, I want to be like you with my reels. I'm gonna have to figure out how I can get nice and crispy. So let me ask you, what lens are you using on your EVZ10?
This is a Sigma.
Okay, 16.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Sigma 16.
Okay.
I have all three of the lenses, but I like the way this one kind of frames me better than the other two.
Sure.
50 and the other one.
Man, that's what's up, man. Your stuff. So the last thing, and I think you kind of talked about it. So does your son have a workflow, or do you shoot the video and you just hand it off to him and he does what he needs to do to produce the rest of the video?
So what he's told me, he said, so Daddy, I want to be your consultant. I don't want to edit anymore. He said, I will help you come up with the idea. He will tell you, all those things. So I'm still working on. So I got him, and it was partially my fault because he's now in the media team at our church. So he says, well, I'm already doing that, so I'm gonna have to cut back with you. But what we do is I have a list of ideas that I want. So the month is, for instance, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Next month is Diabetes Awareness Month. And so we sit with him and he talks to me about, okay, what do we need to do per week? I said, so do we need to do this video every week or this topic every week? And so he helps me kind of frame that information.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome, dude. I mean, just to hear that your 13-year-old son, so he's probably in eighth grade.
He's in 8th grade.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's terrific. I mean, and I can't you know, I my kids, I don't know. I have to see if, they want to edit for their dad. But, you know, a joker like me, I like to kind of do everything on my own,
Mhm.
just so I can kind of know the process, right? So
Right.
I know that I have the capability, the flexibility. I have all the tools that I need to do, that I need to shoot the reels and just get the content. For me, it's just a matter of time. It's like I said, dad of three, husband of one,
Yeah, man, I know. It's
and the
like
writing
time,
world
right?
is jumping, right? So I have to squeeze my content creation in when I can,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's just like
And
you.
that's why, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, just like you, how this is your content creation time, in the
Right.
evening time. I have to kind of pick and choose when I can do what I need to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What I was gonna say is that's why we connected, because we were up we were up late into the night trying to do our stuff. But yeah.
Absolutely.
But I did want to and we already shouted out India, but I did want to give another shout out to her because I watched her do her 100 days live.
Wasn't it
Right.
awesome?
It was awesome. And what I did in August was a result of that, because we were doing the Lita, and so we were doing those challenges in the group. But I said, well, if India can do 100, I could at least do 30, 31.
Yeah.
And so India, thank you for that inspiration.
Man, listen, for me, I get, I have a list of, like for West Coast Wednesday, I have a list of folks who, I'm kind of targeting from now until December 14th, maybe December 21st. And then I'm gonna come back, sometime in the spring and do another season, right? But I have all kind of ideas that I can create and, produce content around. But again, it's just, man, it's time is just I got to pick and choose, right? But I have all these ideas that I think would benefit folks who kind of follow me, who have subscribed to my channel, and I just don't want to have subscribers just to have subscribers. I want to produce meaningful content, and so I was, even though I haven't acted on India's 100 days of live streams, it was very inspirational to see from the beginning to the end. And sometimes I'll pop in, watch 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll watch the whole show. But it's just great when we have content creators who kind of inspire us, and
Oh, yeah.
have an opportunity to connect with people like you who can inspire other folks who are dealing with different health issues, and to know that not only are you a healthcare professional, but you're also a content creator. You know your stuff, and you've hired your son to help out. So I mean, you kind of developing your own pathway of content creation, and who knows, maybe he'll end up editing or doing stuff for you and your wife's show, right?
For sure. Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, you say that. So man, when I started, there were two guys, actually three people that I looked, two guys and a gal. And if you watch me, right, a lot of the form that I have comes from these three people. Okay. Number one, Kirk Nugent,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in fact, if you look at my setup,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
anyway Kirk, right? That's Kirk. And so I was in his group early on, and we had some consultation and we talked a little bit, right? So shout out to him. Number two was Doc Rock, and what Doc did for me, and he doesn't know this, and I met him once, but I was on his show, not on his show, but I was listening to his show once, and I was like, man, stuff is not happening. I need to grow. I need to, nobody's watching my content, right? And he asked a simple question. He said, hey, you guys are out there and you're so interested in growing and blowing up. He said, if I told you right now, you can have my platform
What would
for
you
your
do?
show,
Yeah,
are you ready?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I thought to myself, I was like, no, I'm not ready for that, right? So
Yeah.
I decided I needed to go back now And so when I show up, I'm showing up with the stuff to present to people.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was Doc Rock. And then the third person was Luria. Okay. And I've watched her. I've been on, I've been watching her show. And so I'm just adding, and then, added India as my inspiration. And so what I'm doing, man, just like we're talking about, I'm looking at the people who are the movers and shakers and saying, not that I want to be that person, but to learn from them. I watched Diana Gladney. So I have one of those Canon M50s, right? So I watched Diana Gladney way in the back, and that's how I first got started. I was like, okay, let me find somebody who's talking about this thing. And so the ZVE10 wasn't out and all that, and so the stuff that I did, my very first ones, they came from her. That was her way of talking me through what do I do. And so I set my stuff up, and then of course, once I change, then I'm looking at other people. So it's I love the fact that the space is so packed with people who are willing to give their expertise, to give their time, and to help us all grow. So, and they're not stingy with their talents.
Absolutely.
Including you, man, for having me on your show. I mean, this is amazing.
No, it was definitely amazing, man. We're gonna have to do this again. I'm already knowing, maybe in the springtime when we do, the spring edition of West Coast Wednesday, we'll have you back on, and maybe we'll have you and your wife on at the same time. We can kind of talk about that and, make that happen, man. No, this has been great. And all of those people that you mentioned, from Kirk, from Doc Rock to Diana to India, we're cut from the same cloth, because, I've kind of wondered about, viewing and numbers. But, my thought was, again, you have to produce content. And I think, all of them say this best. You have to show up, right? If you don't show up, then, folks are not going to watch you, consistently. And so for me, I have to show up. And so this is kind of, like this is my baby, West Coast Wednesday. And next week, let me just give a shout out to, my guy who's going to hop on next week. His name is Alvin Eddington, who I kind of borrowed West Coast Wednesday from. And so he's kind of like the creator of West Coast Wednesday, and he's one of my dudes. And so, I just thought that I could, take this to the next level and, put people out there, give them a voice, give them an opportunity to kind of share their story and have some fun with it. This is one way that I'm going to show up. Right. And so, every Wednesday from now until either December 21st, either the 14th or the 21st, we're going live, right? For the most of the time, it's going to be at 6:30. And so I invite you, if you haven't already, and, just go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I was going to pop it into the comments, but hey, you'll see, just like me on Facebook, and you'll see, when you see the notifications, when I'm going live, just hop on with me. But one of the things that I got from those folks that you mentioned, you got to go live. You got to hit the button. Because if you don't hit the button, folks aren't gonna tap in, if it's a recorded video or if it's a live stream like we're doing tonight. So we have to show up. We can't invest in the tools just to invest in the tools and just be like, okay, well, I got a nice studio. This is cool. But no, what's you gonna do with it? So yeah, I love Doc Rock's question to you. What would you do if you had the platform? So awesome. Hey man, now I should have when we were talking pre-show, and I just want to thank those of you who are still watching as we kind of wrap up. We didn't talk about where people can find you, but I do have this wonderful scene right here. There you are, right there, looking all professional. Where can people find you, Dr. Woode?
They can find me, actually, if you let me just pop a scene up.
Absolutely.
Let me
see. You should be able to do so. Let me see. Now you're challenging me. Let me see.
No. Just put me on full.
I got you. Let me see. I'm gonna get you right here. Nope. There you go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Dwain Woode, MD, and you see that they're under my name and all my social media platforms, my YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. All of them are Dwain Woode, MD. So you can find me in all those places. Thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely, my man. No, that's great, man. We appreciate you again hopping on and just having some time, spending some time with Mr. Riley, Mr. Riley's World. And any other words, man? You got some final words you want to say to the guests who are still watching?
Man, I'm thank you so much for having me. I've been anticipating, waiting, watching, and so glad that I can be here to hang out with you and your wonderful guests. So guys, we are, whether you're a content creator or whether you're not, you're just kind of consuming this stuff. There is no better time than now to take charge of our lives, whether it's health, things that you've wanted to do, that book that you've wanted to write, the course you've wanted to create, the relationship you wanted to improve. This is the time to do all of that. And yeah, I just encourage you to take charge of it, because you are the one that's in charge of it. Don't let life happen to you anymore, right? We've done that. We've done that before. Now we get to say, nah, this is the way I'm going to roll. And so that's just my encouragement for you.
Man, I appreciate the encouragement, man. We're gonna have to do this again, and just sit tight in the green room real quick. Let me close up the show, and I appreciate you once again, Dr. Woode. Dr. Woode is in the house.
I'm here.
Hey, maybe that could be your, how you show up. Doc's in the house. I don't know. Dr. Woode is in the house. I don't know. We'll figure it out, man. But hang tight in the green room, and we'll come back at the end of the show. Just sit tight for me.
Yeah.
There we go, guys. So, hey, we had a wonderful show. Dr. Woode just hanging out with us and just kind of talking about his journey, becoming a doctor. He didn't expect to become a doctor. But sometimes life has a strange way of taking us down a path that sometimes we didn't think that we were going to go down. And so he kind of talked about his life and why he's doing what he's doing. And then also just the entrepreneurial spirit that he's having to employ his son as a consultant on his TikTok and Reels and all that kind of good stuff. So a good conversation. And I just thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I just a couple of things real quick before we leave. Do me a favor, if you have not done so already, like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, you can find me on YouTube under Mr. Riley's World. You should be able to find me on Facebook as well, James Riley. And I do have a private Facebook group, so if you want to be a part of that as well, just let me know. And then if you want to support the channel, you can go ahead and buy me a coffee. Buy me one coffee, two coffees at buymeacoffee.com/Mr. Riley's World. And that's one way that you can support the channel. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to get this Rodecaster Pro 2, so maybe you can help me with that situation and try to get that into my studio here in Riley World. Other than that, I appreciate you watching and being part of the show tonight, and we will see you next week. Next week we're coming back with my good friend Uncle Al. Is what I call him. He's actually the creator of West Coast Wednesday. So he was on in season 2, and he's going to come back, and we're going to hang out a little bit, talk about life, ministry, and the whole 9 yards. So please join me next week, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, right here at the same place, same bat time, same bat channel. So again, this is Mr. Riley. I'm signing off from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.